No, it's like a surprise attack
It
appears
is.
every time with that one. It's like it's just like a little bit, it's like, just another second on there. Welcome back, everyone, to Let It Cook. This is your weekly show. It's a new week. It's a new model, Pierce.
Every week, always new models.
Check
This one's super exciting. Yeah, I feel
QR
like a
code.
couple let it. Oh, what's happening?
Codex 5.
Yes,
You
that's
gotta
right.
scan that. Although
Scan that QR code. I
if
James was telling me
people
about this before, and I didn't even notice it. It's in the top left.
but the thing is, if people are watching this currently, couldn't I just post a link and they could click on the link? I guess for on demand. On demand people, you're watching this later, you're like, wow, these two cooking it up. Here's a link. New model, new week,
Yep.
GPT-5 Codex. I don't even know
Yep.
what that is. What is happening?
I ask myself that every day. It does feel like something new is happening in that space almost every single day. Well, I think the models are getting better every single week, every single month, and this is no exception. Like I've been spending a lot of time with GPT-5, like just regular, which by the way, we use medium reasoning inside of VS Code. So recently I started playing more with GPT-5-Codex, which is a part of the GPT-5 series of models from OpenAI. And it's been super impressive to me so far. I've been using it actually over the last couple of weeks as my new default model for all of my coding workflows. So it's
Wow.
been quite impressive to me. It is a very different model, in my opinion, than other models we've had inside of VS Code. So we'll have to kind of show you how it works and some of the quirks, particularly for VS Code workflows. But I've been really enjoying it. It's making like really high quality edits. Yeah, so it's been super fun so far. Every model is different and like its characteristics and strengths, but for me so far, GPT-5-Codex has been an amazing model to work with.
That's cool. Yeah. So I'm like looking at the frontier models. You have GPT-5. This is the best model
Yep.
for coding and agentic tasks across domains. GPT-5
Mm-hmm.
Mini, a faster,
Mm-hmm.
cost-efficient version of GPT-5. And then Codex, which I got to scroll down, which is a version of GPT-5 optimized for agentic coding in Codex, which is,
Yes.
yeah. But also
Yeah. So
Mini.
like, these models like usually get kind of, GPT-5 and then there's further optimizations made. And in the case of this model, it was trained on a lot of real world software engineering tasks,
Mm.
specifically agentic tasks. Also a lot around refactorings and code review. So I think some of those, when you read the blog post from OpenAI, some of those training characteristics also work well for other domains, right? Just because you train it for code review doesn't mean it's not good for something else, right? And so, like for instance, like it's really good at refactoring and understanding your code and finding bugs. And so when you think about this, like when you use the model, the cool thing that you notice is like when you use some other models, you know how it like makes an edit and then you see the problems window in VS Code like stream in with a ton of problems.
Yeah.
The really cool thing about this model is I am very rarely getting we're going to show it off and then it's going to like do this, but I'm very rarely getting like problems after the edit. And so then what's interesting is like you spend way less time with the model and agent like fixing errors that the model itself made because the first edit it produces is correct.
Oh,
And so
interesting.
that's super interesting. It also tends to like in some of the problems I've been working with it on, it tends to insert a ton of code at once, which I personally like. Some of the models prefer like smaller, like more frequent edits. But I kind of like the code block. Like I'm adding this feature. Here is all the code for this feature, right?
Yeah.
There's kind of cool characteristics of this model that I've kind of noticed when I played with it over the past couple of weeks.
Oh, nice. I like it. Okay. Well, I think probably the best thing to do is to build something and let it
Mm-hmm.
cook. Okay.
Always. Yeah, let's
All
do
right.
it.
All right. So here's my screen. Boop. Okay. I'm a big fan of the puff, of the jiggle, the jiggly puff, my
Oh,
number
VS
one.
Code Pokemon, my favorite extension.
VS Code Pets, like I think that for Pokemon, the VS Code Pokemon extension, I do want like one more interactive element for it. You know what I mean? There's that. And I like that with VS Code Pets, I can like throw a little ball. You know what I mean? So what I would
Yeah.
like to do for whoever creates this extension is to throw a Pokeball and then for it to like escape out of it. So I think that would be a nice addition. But as you can see, this is mine. I only have Jigglypuffs. And if you go and add another gen, the only Pokemon that you need to add is another Jigglypuff. Don't sleep on Jigglypuff. That's for all my Smash players.
I'm sleeping on Jigglypuff. I'm sorry, James.
Well, Jigglypuff's main move in Smash is sleep, because Jigglypuff be sleeping all the time. Well, hey Chandler, this is your first time watching. Well, you're in for a joy, because this is a stream kind of things where we talk.
James and I are very like, you know, the thing I like about this stream, I tell James it's like my favorite hour of the week, because like I get to sit down with my friends, we get to write some code, get to talk about cool new things, and like unlike many presentations I do, there's no prep. James and I 5 minutes before join StreamYard, and we say, what are we going to do today? And so you're getting very stream of consciousness for us, which I personally like those types of streams. Like if I wanted to watch a presentation, I'd watch a presentation, right?
Yeah. And when we had like, you know, if you go back to like Den's episode, you know, we talk about Spec Kit and we talk about 3 different things, and it's very casual conversation, which means we get to answer your questions live. So Jigglypuff's my favorite favorite Pokemon. And we're not going to use any art assets. We're not going to do anything. It's just going to be a puff quest here. So I'm thinking about doing a little, you know, adventure, maybe like 2D side scrolling game where Jigglypuff is avoiding enemies. Everything's drawn, by, you know, pixel art. So let's create a new game. I don't know. This is the idea. I guess, can I go to the model first and like have it fill in the idea?
Yeah.
For me? Okay, let's do that. Should I use Codex or should I use something else for this? If I'm like ideating here, what do you think? Mini?
That's up to you. I actually like, my preference, if anything, is to use a reasoning model like GPT-5 or GPT-5-Codex for like these ideation tasks. I've been using in the ChatGPT desktop client GPT-5 a ton, so let's use that.
Okay. And then I get a lot of questions, and we just got a bunch yesterday when I was doing this Blazor Day presentation of like which model to choose. So while I type in what I want here and it ideates, how about you talk a little bit about that, Pierce, about model and model selection? I'm going to mute my keyboard while you do that.
Yeah, so I mean, it is really, I kind of wanted to hear your keyboard. It's very peaceful to me. It is a hard topic, right? And the models all kind of have distinct characteristics, but you can kind of, we do have a good doc on the GitHub doc site that kind of talks a little bit about the different types of models and how you can think about them. So you have models like reasoning models like GPT-5, Claude, GPT-5-Codex, which we'll use today. And those will feel a little bit slower, right? Because they're actually thinking about what they want to do and then using those thinking tokens to actually guide their behavior in terms of what they actually do. So when James types this, we unfortunately don't show the reasoning tokens quite yet. That's coming very soon. But you would see basically the model is thinking about what James is saying and basically going to, based off what James is saying, it's going to think, and then it's going to say, okay, well, based off kind of how I thought about this problem, this is what I'm going to do. And that's been shown to really increase the quality of the outputs. So I typically use these models in planning a lot. Like if you're going to use a more kind of powerful reasoning model, that's the time to do it. And then if you want something fast, then there's kind of other models you might choose, like a mini model, right? Those are much faster typically in terms of like time to first token, turn time, etc. But they're not going to be great at filling in all the gaps you have, right? Like if you're giving a very underspecified problem of like James actually gave a pretty good prompt here, but like if James was just like build this game, like the model is going to have to go fill in a ton of details. And sometimes actually like that's helpful because it's good for brainstorming. But like say you wanted to implement a new feature, if you went straight to like a mini variant of a model, that may not be ideal. It may give you good results depending on the problem, but it's going to do much better if you give it a good plan. And so that's why you see a lot more planning workflows is like, if you spend time up front with a reasoning model building a plan, then you can actually pass it to a smaller model, a mini variant that's much faster to actually follow the plan. And when you have a plan, the model has to figure out less details, right? So the output quality is still quite high when using a mini variant. So that's kind of like how I think about it. We do have this thing called Auto that we're now rolling out to all paid plans and then Copilot free plans very soon. Yeah, right here. So the idea behind this, right now it's not quite at this place, but the idea behind this is we would help make this problem better. So right now we're kind of, if you select Auto, we're selecting the best model based off performance and capacity. So that basically means it's going to be fast. You're not going to get rate limited. You're not going to have errors, right? And you do get a discount on your premium request. So you could use something like Claude Sonnet 4 at 0.9 premium request rather than 1x. In the future, what we really want to do though is like, say James said, I want to build this game. it should do exactly what I just said mentally. Like, this is a reasoning task. I need to use a reasoning model for this sort of task. This model is best. Okay, we go use this. Okay, now James wants to implement. Here is a well-structured plan that we have. What is a good model to implement this, right? Based off this code base and these characteristics. So that's kind of where we're going with auto mode. So I think over the next couple months, you'll see that keep improving. So I see we got a plan.
And I want to point out, this is new. I haven't seen this before. This is kind of different in stable versus insiders, which we rock insiders.
Yeah, so do a little, open the settings UI.
Oh, this is beautiful.
I'll talk a little bit about this right now.
Okay.
So this is kind of rolling out. So everyone may not see this, but go thinking, just type thinking. Thinking style, yes. So you can see this is an experimental setting. There's a lot of different values here. We had so many debates about how to show thinking in chat, because some models are going to think a ton and it's going to be very overwhelming. Some models will think almost none, and or output no thinking tokens, I guess I should say.
Yeah.
And so if you expand that back out, go back up to that first one you expanded. So you can see, like, James, I was saying, like, it's going to reason about what James wants. So you can see here it says, okay, we have copyright concerns to think about. That's a great thing to think about first. Okay, after I think about that, I probably should do some planning. This is a to-do list because I need to write this document. Okay, I also need to organize the tasks. And so it kind of starts thinking about what it needs to do. Okay, then it creates the to-dos. Okay, then it creates the to-dos. Then it's like, okay, now what do I need to do? Okay, now I need to create the outline. So it really starts to kind of, you can see how it's thinking about the problem, which with some of the other models, right, you're just getting, it's just predicting, it works similarly, but it's just predicting the next token and spitting it out, right? And this, it's still doing that, but it's thinking first and doing that, and then going and actually writing to your idea file. So you'll get really high quality results with these thinking models. And GPT-5 can feel slow inside of Copilot sometimes, right? Just keeping it real here. And I think the reason for that is you didn't always see these reasoning traces, right? But that was happening. So, like, we just weren't showing it in chat, and you're like, well, why is it so slow? And like right now, you would still see working if you didn't have this setting on. You see how it's still spinning with thinking? Yeah. You just show working, and you're like, what's going on? Okay, now you'd see 5 created to-dos, and you're like, well, it took 8 seconds for it to do anything. It's like, no, you're just not seeing the thinking. So, you know, for several reasons, I think it's super important for us to get thinking out this next iteration, which I think we're going to try to do.
It's perceived
slowness. Yeah. Because we're not actually like signaling to you what's happening, right? There are things actually happening, but you just don't see it as a user. And so that's generally a UX anti-pattern, right?
Yeah.
It's more complicated than it seems for us to show these tokens. We support many different models. There's different API formats that each of the model provider uses. So, you know, there's some work we have to do on our back end to kind of normalize all this. But yeah, I think we'll probably end up getting it out this month, at the very least for GPT-5 and GPT-5-Codex.
I think, man, there was this thing. Now it's gone. I was going to try to show the new history where like a history is there, but that must be a
bug. Do you have it on right now?
The history? Let me see.
The welcome thing. If you go to settings, like welcome, it's not on by default.
Interesting, because they moved the
history. Maybe try history. Why is the history?
You know what I can do? I can just open the chat history here.
That works too.
Yeah. So there was a new feature, and I'm not sure what happened, but like basically it would show the last 3 history here instead of like just the new or whatever. Maybe it's because the to-dos. I'll report that to the team. Maybe I got to clear that out. No. Okay, we'll see. Interesting. We'll figure that out. That's insiders. I updated this morning. Okay. Well, we have this. This is good. We have this idea doc. Now what do I want to do with it? Ooh. Is this when we go to the Codex, I guess?
Yeah, this is when we might go to Codex. Let's just scroll through this. I want to see kind of what we have in here. So we have the concept at a high level. Okay. Core player fantasy. Is there anything in this we don't like? I guess we should remove it now or make changes.
Sleep powers, convert enemies into temporary platforms for harmless nap obstacles. That's cool. Time jumps, gentle. Okay, target, primary kids, secondary nostalgic casual players, whimsical, friendly, gentle challenge, whimsical music. I don't have any music, but that's okay. Sleep status, progress discovery, player character, PC, move, walk, slight speed burst, jump, puff float. I like that. Personality, encouraging. Wow, this game sounds amazing. signature ability, sleep song. I like that. Wow, this is amazing. Dream sprites, hostile. Wow, that's cool. Mini boss per world, levels. Okay, so there's a bunch of worlds that it has. So you might want to think about like breaking it into like a first
That's
world.
exactly right. I was
Yeah.
thinking the same thing. Like
Yeah.
this is a lot we're already giving it, and so we might want to break it down
Okay.
even more.
So let's break this idea down into a MVP, which is simple to implement. That is going to have no music, drawn sprites, only one level, and 2 enemy types to keep it simple. Put that in a mvp.md file. Ooh. Yeah, that makes sense. And then I attach the idea here, right? So it's going to take that idea and then break it down further. So this might be, funnily enough, thinking of like how there's like a spec kit, like here's our big thing. We're going to break it down into little features, XYZ down in there. Yeah. Oh, wow. Okay. UI minimal, contextual, okay, markdown. Okay. This is pretty good.
Yeah, I think the interesting thing is like that's why I like spec kit is it like really you can do kind of these lightweight plans like this, but you can get to the point that you're like over specified or under specified depending on your prompt. And like this is basically like these are a bunch of requirements, right?
Yeah.
The other thing that I'm thinking about is should we say anything about the technical aspects of how we want this built, like what stack, right?
Yeah.
Because again, like the model will make these choices for you if you don't make them for the model, right? And that may be okay. Actually, a lot of times I like the model to figure things out for me because I'm like, I don't know what I don't know, and I kind of want it to try, right? But if I have opinions, then I should say that, right?
Yeah. Okay, so I did a ultra minimal MVP, and then there's like, so this is it. This is auto scope deferred.
I like that.
So this is really minimal. So you have in scope features, high level, deliver short side scrolling level, in length, move, jump, sleep ability, reaches an end gate, no audio, custom art, all visual geographical placeholders. Love that. For us, meadow, that's cool. Nice. Left, right, up, down. Love this. 2 enemy archetypes, sleep perfect, sleep state.
I need to get that. I'm going to post this to my socials. I need to get my link for James Montemagno.
Uh-oh, that's me. Okay. So I'll say, all right, this looks great. Let's now create a technical.md that outlines the technical implementation for this and technology. I don't know, are we just going to use like, should be web-based, Node.js, 3JS? I don't know.
Yeah. People love the 3JS.
Do I need to use like anything else? What do you think?
I would say TypeScript, right?
TypeScript. Yep. Gather first some recommendations for me before we create a doc for it, and ask me about it. Okay. Let's see if that actually does what I wanted to do. So I'm going to ask it, like, I'm actually not sure, like, if it has recommendations based on the game, right? It has the whole context.
Yep.
So it's creating that to-do list. Got to create a to-do list. Okay, it's pretty simple to-do list. Prepare technical. Kicking off focus session. 2D side scroller. Okay, recommendation. 3JS with an orthographic camera to emulate 2D while retaining 3D. Render sprites. Option A, mesh primitives or flat mesh basic material. Option B, fallback 2D canvas. Simple Z order. Question, stick to 3JS for HUD or use lightweight HTML overlay. I recommend HTML overlay. All right, that sounds good. Cool question. Makes mental math. Yep, okay. Perfect. Wow, this is amazing. This is like so, wow. Recommended, deferred. Okay, cool. Let's use, oops. I can do a rollback, restore. Let's use your recommendations and draft it in technical.md. Again, keep it simple.
Yeah, I think sometimes to some people this can feel a little like we've spent 10 minutes doing this, and it can feel unproductive, I think, as a developer, because we want to kind of jump in and start writing code. But I think the thing I realized is like, if you don't do stuff like this, you might have success with models, but like then you're going to spend a lot of time. Maybe the model doesn't do exactly what you want. Then you have to prod it again to get it to do what you want. And then you have to prod it again. And then if you actually think about the amount of time you actually spend doing that, it ends up being way more. And so it's better to just like think about it up front if you can, right?
Yeah.
No, there's definitely like situations where I'm just like, I feel like I don't need to do this, right? Because it's over. Like we're starting a new project here. So we kind of want to have the right layout, the right architecture. We want the model to be thinking about the right things as it starts to play, kind of plan this thing out. If I was working on something like, even when I PR'd Copilot in VS Code and I've added new things, right? I don't always have something super detailed, right? So it's not always necessary. And my other like debate inside my head is like, do we think that this is something we'll have to keep doing, right? Or is this something that actually the models will just get really good at over time? Like, is this kind of a point in time thing where you have to do this? I don't know. We'll see. The model's already really good at planning within the turn. So I imagine if you generalize that, it'll get better at planning entire projects. Okay.
Oof, look at this.
So you can see this is kind of a lot. This is like a lot of files. So yeah, this is what I'm saying. Like sometimes the model can over-specify things. So I'd be like, let's keep it simple,
Let's keep it simple, no tests.
I actually have that as a custom instruction in pretty much all of my projects. And it doesn't lead to like horrible architecture, but like sometimes like it's just like you're asking it to think deeply about a problem, and it really does that. It does what you're asking, basically. And that may not actually be what you want. So in pretty much all my projects, I have a like keep whatever you're doing simple, like don't do these things, right? And it tends to help a lot.
Yeah. I mean, this is outlining probably for the model, like quite a lot of logic and information inside of here. I mean, it actually kind of wrote a lot of the code for us already. So I am wondering, like, kind of passing it off, like how much here. It does want to use Vite. I assume that that's going to work on my code. So there. Yeah. Is this all in VS? This is on VS Code Insiders. I just updated Charles this morning. So just grab it and go. I mean, it's hard to say if there's anything. Well, Codex is there for, I think, everyone now. But like, yeah, all these features, everything we're showing is there. Might be some things that are rolling.
For Codex. You should see it for Codex. You may not see it for GPT-5. We're still doing a rollout for the thinking states you're seeing in chat right now. Gotcha. You would see something like that for Codex, but maybe not for GPT-5.
Gotcha. Yeah, and then when it says working, because it's already done thinking, now it's just like generating the files, basically.
Yes, that's right. So if you actually do Control-Shift-P, you're on Windows, right, or Mac? Which one?
Yep.
Yeah, go to the debug view, and like it's kind of cool looking at this thing. Yeah, click on that. Scroll down.
Is it at the bottom? Is that where it's at?
It's always at the bottom. I kind of wish we would just go down there. So we won't actually stream it back in until it's done, but you can see we created the to-dos. Okay, now we have we're starting to generate some files. So that's what this is. And this is cool because you can see exactly what the model is doing. You can see the metadata we're sending. You can see the system prompt. You can see the response we got back from the model.
I like it.
Apply patch is basically the thing that takes the code that we got back from the model and puts it actually into your code. So when you see that here, that's actually what's happening. All right. I think we might be ready for some Codex.
I'm ready. Should we do a new? Do you think we should do like a new chat, or do you think it should be in the existing chat?
Let's do a new chat. The thing I'm finding more and more is a lot of the models are really, especially now that we've done a plan, like the models will find, we don't have anything, right? This is a couple markdown files. So, we don't have, like, if we were to keep using that thread, right, we would send all of that thread history back to the model. I actually don't think the model needs that, right? If we just give it the markdown documents, that should be sufficient, right? So that's kind of how I think about it. So let's go ahead and, start implementing.
Just go?
Yep.
Okay.
And I kind of have a prompt file I use for this, like /implement, which is kind of like a more specified version, but it's a simple prompt, but it's kind of saying the same thing. So you can see, like, okay, we have thinking coming in, it's working. So there's kind of like different things, right? So there's like a metric we look at called time to first token, which is the amount of time from when we send something to the model to when we get something back, right? And that's a big metric we look at for all the models in terms of like interaction and chat, because that makes it feel slow, right? If it doesn't work very well. This is a new feature. But also some of these models that, you have to also think about the time to first effective token, which is when you actually see something. And so that's another metric we look at a lot internally. So you can see we're starting to create stuff. So the interesting thing that is maybe different about Codex compared to what we saw for GPT-5, you can see, like, if you were to expand creating minimal byte file, you see there's like no reasoning trace.
Nothing, it's just
so,
happening.
Yeah, so there's some UX things I think we're gonna have to clean up with this model. This is what I say. It does have some quirks, right? But if you don't do this, then you don't get the kind of summaries, which are also not very helpful. So we kind of made the choice when we were shipping this that this was how we were going to do it, even though it was kind of a little imperfect. This is interesting. I think we're running into like an interesting UX rendering thing here. It's like rendering over itself.
Yeah, this is all insiders. That's why. Yeah, it's like it's trying to update and do stuff. But we also have to-dos. We have files. We also have a crazy big like window and view. But yeah, it is trying to like update and show stuff in real time.
That's very interesting. See, this is also why I love the stream. We find all of these things and we're like, we need to go and fix this, right?
You can timestamp it at 27:30.
Love
now,
it.
I also say if you are very interested in these little icons that I have, if you're like, wow, James, like, how did you get these little cool icons?
They're cool.
That is because I have where is it at? I'm pretty sure that the Cappuccino extension over here, Cappuccino icons, which is one of my favorites, have these beautiful icons and they have different previews and themes. Like I use Frappe, I think, here because it works really good on a dark theme. Latte works better on a light theme. So if you're interested, the Cappuccino icons are my favorite.
Oh, this is very nice.
Yeah, they're very nice. Yeah, I know Burke loves the material ones, but I just love these. They're soothing pastel colors. I was showing this off to my wife. She's like, wow, those are really nice icons. And I was like, yeah, I love them. So when you go over here, you can kind of see them now inside of here. So we have the HTML, Markdown, all the files. So these nice little icons. They're really nice. They're really nicely drawn out. That's for sure. Things are happening. So ideally here, it's going to cook. So what exactly is the difference in this case between like if I did GPT-5 and GPT-5-Codex as far as models and things? Wow, it just created a lot of files. Is it how it's thinking behind the scenes then, basically?
Well, so we don't have all the details on the exact architecture. Like you can learn a lot from the blog posts that the team puts out and the model cards they publish. But yeah, like the big thing is how it's trained, right? And that also includes how it thinks, right? And so usually so model X comes out, right? You notice certain characteristics you like, and there's certain things you want it to be even better at, right? And you may not have wanted to put all of that training data into the base model because then that could have side effects, right? Every single thing you put in there has side effects, good and bad. And so then you start getting these more specialized models like GPT-5, right? Like I said, I use it in the ChatGPT app for like regular life stuff, right? And like this is a model specifically for coding scenarios. So it's really been tuned for these agentic workflows specifically. That's another thing is like some of the other models, like you would say like, how do I do 2 + 2? And it's a function in C#. Like it would spit out a code snippet. That's one part of it. But like there's this agentic component, which is like you have to have a loop. You have to have tools that you give it. It has to have a goal, right? And so kind of being able to work through that process of agentic coding workflows is a separate thing that it needs to get really good at, right? And so then the team from OpenAI basically spent a lot of time making sure it's really good for those specific scenarios.
That's cool. And it seems to be thinking about some of these things as well. So if you actually watch it, like this one was actually outlining the game mechanics. It was looking through the pulse. It was now looking at the grading. So some of these are thinking tasks that it's doing. And teamed craziness says quality versus speed, right? That you're getting. And someone was asking here was like, hey, like, this is a good question from Sunny, and we can just answer how this actually works. Like Codex 5 is slow compared to Sonnet. Not sure if it's your machine. Well, none of it's happening on your machine, so it's not your machine, most likely there. I would say that, like, well, it is really going to depend on capacity, and it's going to depend on speed, and it's going to depend on inputs. I mean, there's so many factors that you're giving it in general. Just like if you were to use like GPT-4.1, it's like crazy fast, right? Or GPT-5 mini is going to be faster. But also the thinking, Matt, do you think that do these models like Codex think more and process more than like like Sonnet 4, for example? Or is it about the same, do you think, as far as like the thinking and processing it's doing? Because I think some people are like, oh, I need to use more newer model, these bigger models, right? And then sometimes you do for complex tasks. Like we're building an entire game. Like I probably want it to do pretty complex thinking and operations on everything that it's building. But then that also comes with that quality versus, not even quality versus speed. It's just like context versus speed, right? How much are you doing versus speed of the model? Like, because GPT-5 can be like really fast and Sonnet can be really fast, but it depends on the task, right? And how much work and thinking and context gathering it needs to do. Am I thinking about that right?
Like every model is very different. So like and this is my own personal opinion, the OpenAI models are really, really good at instruction following from what I've seen. So what I mean by that is like when you tell it to do something, it will do that thing, right? Personal opinion. Thank you. The Claude models are really good at, they're very creative and exploratory, right? And so if you notice, like when you click off a Sonnet task, you'll see like it does a lot of searches, right? To kind of kick things off, and it'll kind of go in different directions. And like I said, all of these characteristics, just like humans, when we have characteristics, they're good and bad for different situations, right? And so sometimes it's really good, kind of that pathfinding of like, I'm going to try this. Oh, that didn't quite work. Let me back up. Let me try that thing, right? That's sometimes what you want. And sometimes you're like, I just want you to do the thing, right? And so it's really like, that's why it's really hard for me to personally compare them one-to-one. I think there's characteristics that I don't like, and that's actually what guides a lot of my behavior more than what I do like often. So like sometimes some of the models tend to prefer very small edits. That can get very frustrating to me. Like, I'm changing this line. Okay, now I'm going to change the next line. You know, that when you start seeing that streaming into chat, it can get a little overwhelming. So the other interesting thing about this model that I wanted to call out is like, you're not getting, with some of the other models, you would get, now I'm going to start working on the levels, right? Mm-hmm. And that's actually kind of encapsulated in some of this thinking text you're seeing in chat. But this model is very terse. It's like, I'm going to do the thing, right? Which personally I prefer. Like, I kind of want to know what it's doing at a high level, but I don't always need like every single little detail about every single little thing, right? So I kind of appreciate it just kind of does its thing. What we're seeing right now is why I say that this model is very interesting inside of chat. You're still on to-do one. And we prompted this thing a while ago. Shout out to the max request setting, by the way. Yeah, you should show that off. So you can, this is basically how much, oh man.
Just let it cook, man.
I'm not going to tell anyone you set it to this. But anyways, so the interesting thing that we're seeing with the models is, you know how we have things like the GitHub Copilot coding agent, James?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
We also have kind of these interactive chat workflows like we're seeing here. Those have different demands in terms of the models, right? So like when something's backgrounded, it can take 2 hours for all. I mean, I would prefer it be faster, but like I'd rather get it right, right? And so there's kind of interesting trade-offs, like to the point about quality versus speed. Like if you really want super high quality outputs, you have it think way longer, right? You have it really like reason about what it's actually going to do, which takes more time.
Yeah.
But then like, is that great in an interactive chat session like this, where you're actually monitoring it? And so this is why I say it's kind of an interesting model for us, because it's different than every other model. Like any other model, even GPT-5, you're getting boom, boom, boom. This is what's happening, right? In the case of Codex, it's very thoughtful. It takes a lot of time. It's going to give you really high quality outputs, but you're not going to get that rapid progression through things. But you may end up spending way less time in total building this game, even though it feels like maybe, oh, we're still on to-do one, than if you were using another model. So that's why every model has like these interesting characteristics. And I've been talking with the team because I really think we're going to have to rethink chat, right? As we get more of these models that are really kind of behave in this way, like what does it mean to use something like the interactive chat inside of VS Code versus a background agent? And that's another reason we did the whole, delegate to cloud button thing inside of chat. That's why we have the chat sessions view, right? Because we are very convinced that like you're going to end up using both of those, right, to build something. It's not going to be one or the other.
Yeah, I think that's super good. We're getting some good questions in the chat too, right, about speed, versus GPT-5 or Grok or other models. And I think like, stuff into that question is, well, it depends on the task and the operation and like the thinking that needs to be done, right? I mean, I will say this, like usually when there's a brand new model drop that's like out there and a lot of people are trying it, there's capacity, right? Just like anything, supply versus demand that's out there. But I mean, this is generating, thousands of lines of code and all these files and having to think over it. So there's that aspect of it. But yeah, it kind of goes to the point that you were saying is like, well, what's the task and what are you doing and what model do you need to use? And ideally Auto wouldn't just like route based on capacity of this. It would also like look at your prompt and look at the context and then figure out things maybe that needs to do. But I think you make a good point. And yesterday, the public preview, Anjit was saying here is like, there's like the GitHub CLI, right? The GitHub Copilot CLI, not to be confused with the GitHub CLI, which is different. But the GitHub Copilot CLI, right, uses a model. I don't know what model it uses under the hood, but like is it Sonnet?
Yeah, it's the default.
Is the default. And I think you might be able to change it. I'm not sure.
You can change it to GPT-5. There's instructions in the README and the repo.
There you go. Well, perfect. Pearson knows more than me. So, but I'm imagining they'll probably open that up so you can kind of like select and do things as well over time, right? So, but it depends. Like you're saying, is I was doing, and I'm not a CLI person. Like Scott, my boss, Hanselman, is like a big CLI person, big fan of the CLI because he kind of works like this. He kind of wants to like send it, queue up things, and just be like, all right, just go and do it. I love. So, funnily enough, I may not do this thing where it auto collapses. I might want it to keep it uncollapsed for me personally.
Same for me, yeah.
I like to read what it's doing. I'm intrigued by the model and I'm getting context because it's writing code and I want to understand its thinking process just as if I was thinking on it as well, right? So I think that's also something that I've been thinking about too.
Well, yeah, because you want to steer it, right? Like if you really saw it going off the rails here, then the benefit of human in the loop for this versus reviewing it later is you can save yourself time because you can be like, I really don't like what you're doing right now. Stop it. Do this instead, right? With a backgrounded task that you could do that, but then that kind of defeats the purpose of a backgrounded task, right?
Totally.
So yeah, I think like to the question about like availability and the CLI, like I'm sure this, I don't want to speak for them, but I'm sure that team is thinking about it. But like the interesting thing is people assume that like you just basically wire it up to the API and then it's available in Copilot. But I think obviously there's a lot of infrastructure things we have to think about when we add a new model to the product, capacity, et cetera, et cetera. But not even just that, like in VS Code itself, for every single one of these models, there's a different prompt that we build. There is not such a thing as one prompt for this model.
Yeah.
And in fact, when we first got access to this model, it would stop. Like it would do one thing and then it would stop.
Yeah.
It would do one thing and then it would stop. And it was extremely annoying. And so we actually had to go in and tweak. You can see how long it's been working, right? It's been working like 15 minutes, right?
Yeah.
From one prompt. It wasn't like that when we first got the model. And we really had to do a lot of work to make sure that it didn't behave that way. And so I think like it's easy. Like I think obviously I want more models in all of my things. Like I love having model choice, but there is a lot of work to really make sure that not just you have the model, right? But that it behaves very well inside of whatever you're using, whatever developer product, like from Microsoft or not, right? There's a lot still of specific kind of prompt tuning you have to do. Now, nothing crazy, but like we do have to go in and actually tweak the prompts for these things before we ship.
I'm terrified about, there's a build error. Perfect. All right. I was like, something is happening. I'm like, this is going to run. Okay. Some good questions in the chat here while this is happening.
Yep.
So someone asked if you can have multiple chats at the same time. Yeah, you can open this chat sessions view. You can also like, I'm not going to do it now, but you can also say open an editor, or open a new window. Yep. And then, but you can come here and you can just hit this new button and that'll just like open a new chat here side by side. So you can totally do is multiple chats going on. But of course that has implications that multiple things are working on your machine. But if you're doing different, functionality, you can have multiple models running. So Ike, that would be your answer there. Okay. And then Anjit asked, what's the difference between the GitHub CLI, GitHub coding agent, GitHub Copilot CLI? What's better? Well, they're all different use cases in agent mode. Okay. So agent mode, we're in agent mode. It's inside of VS Code, inside of Visual Studio, inside of anywhere other places, GitHub Copilot exists. And we're in agent mode. We have ask, edit, agent, different models. We can select, do auto. It's happening on my machine. I'm having this chat. It's interactive with me, right? I'm going back and forth. I'm selecting the models, reviewing the code, doing all this stuff in real time as it's happening, running it. I'm inside of VS Code, right? The coding agent, okay, let's see if it does it. The coding agent, the GitHub Copilot coding agent, is a background task agent that enables you to delegate work off. Oh my God. To a, to an agent that's going to work on a task for you. So that means on GitHub, you can assign an issue to it. It'll start working on the issue. It'll create a pull request. You can come into this chat sessions view over here, and where to go here. And then there's GitHub coding agent. So I could create a new task for it and then push it up. Of course, your code has to be on GitHub to do that. And the coding agent, that's going to basically do all of the work on another machine in the cloud. And it's going to work off a pull request that I can review asynchronously. The GitHub CLI, which is GitHub specific things like getting issues, getting things like that, is not the same as the GitHub Copilot CLI. The GitHub Copilot CLI is separate CLI. And what that is you can think of it as sort of a hybrid between the two. It is kind of like an agent type mode on your machine inside the CLI that's doing the work, but it's on your machine, right? And it's not as like there is a chat interactive method to it, but it's inside of a CLI. I mean, that's really what it is without an editor. So you'd have to figure out how you build and do stuff. If you're a terminal person, then you like that vibe, then that could be your jam, basically. Yeah. I don't know if I described that as good, but I think that's...
No, you did. Yeah. I think it's like a mix of like your own personal preference on how you like to work, right?
Yeah.
And I think as, GitHub and Microsoft, we want you to be able to work in a way that's most comfortable to you. And so some people will prefer the experience inside of VS Code. Some people will want a CLI. Some people like both, right? And then there's also like an effectiveness thing, right? And especially this is more the backgrounded agents, right? So like I think like personally, I would use CLI plus background agent or VS Code plus background agent or all three, right? Because they kind of have different strengths. The interesting thing about the CLI is it has a more constrained set of tools, right? If you click on the tool picker, James, we actually have a lot of tools that we basically tried to expose every single part of VS Code as a tool, right? Mm-hmm. By the way, that can be good and bad. That's not all a good thing, right? And the CLIs are more constrained, and so that they're going to do more things like grep search and things like that, right? Then use some of the native functionalities inside of an editor like the LSP, right? Yep. And so they're kind of just different in that way, and that can be good and that can be bad, right? And so I encourage everyone to play with both, and like I'm sure there's things that we can learn from how the CLI has done stuff. The CLI can learn from how we've done stuff. We talk very frequently, obviously, and work super closely together. So yeah, both let us know your experience.
And a lot of people might be working on multiple projects all at the same time, just like you might have multiple instances of VS Code open. You get multiple CLIs open, working on multiple projects, firing off tasks, and all working. But that's going to be all on your local machine. But of course, all that computation is happening in the cloud. But I think Stefan makes a great point. I actually didn't think about too much, and I'm going to totally use this, which is open another chat window in ask mode while one is running in agent mode, so you can start ideating and coming up with plans. I love that idea. That's great, dude.
So the other thing you can also do is you can create a new agent and remove the ability to edit any files. So I've also done, this is basically, you can replicate every other mode inside of this chat dropdown just by removing tools, right? Agent has all tools. Edit is basically search and code writing tools, remove everything else. Ask is just search tools, essentially. So that's one way to think about it. The other is like, I think for the multi-chat scenario inside of VS Code, it will get better. James, we showed off Git work trees a while back.
Yeah.
We still don't really have great Git work trees kind of integration inside of chat. But basically, this allows you to have multiple branches checked out at once. And so then you can really start getting to this place where I have one chat that's working on one branch, one chat that's working on another branch, right? And you can really start this parallel workflow much easier. The other thing that we really want to do is we've been exploring this concept of subtasks. So like basically the idea would be inside of chat now, like it could, if there were tasks that weren't dependent on each other, it could break it up into subtasks and execute it in its own context and then return back to the main thread. So that's another kind of concept for parallelization that we're thinking about inside of chat. We've checked in some early experiments already. They're more based on prompt files than like the model figuring that out on its own. So you can basically define your own workflows. Oh, we're returning some stuff here. But yeah, so those are all things we're thinking about. Because I mean, I joke that I go to a meeting and I kick off a coding agent before I do it, because I do. Like I'll kick off a Codex local agent or something. Then I go to the meeting. I try to pay attention to the meeting. Sometimes I don't, James. And then after the meeting, you message the next person. You're like, oh, I'm running a few minutes behind, meeting running over. But what you're actually doing is you're in VS Code and you're running you're running that thing and you're sending more feedback. And this is how on a manager schedule, manager versus maker schedule, this is how on a manager schedule you still write a lot of code.
It's how I built feedback flow, which is that, in general. Now here's a great, I want to point out something here. I wasted one sweet premium request here on let's run it. So I want to point out one thing that's kind of fascinating is like when I'm thinking about the model, like, I mean, I have unlimited premium requests, so I just do whatever I want. But when I think about it, like, this is a good one to be like, yeah, like maybe just document how to run this and then just have like GPT like 4.1 run it for you. It seems really silly. I just don't like to waste my precious keystrokes. Although I do think like let's run it is probably the same as npm def run def. You know what I mean? Oh, I'm terrified. Whoa. Okay. I don't know if I can jump over there. Oh no. How do I jump up?
Wait, how do you jump? Are you doing spacebar?
Just you can do spacebar or up.
Oh.
And you'd be able to double jump. Okay, this is pretty decent in general. There's because we just wanted geometry, right?
Yeah.
So okay, so I need to have it. I need to have it like make sure I can double jump. Jump up.
Yeah, double jump doesn't work. Okay, so that's good feedback.
Okay, and then let's refresh it. Let's see if it. Okay. So
what is the yellow dot supposed to be? Is that like?
I think that's an enemy. Well, I guess I could have read what it did. Okay. Okay. So it said that it finished it.
Yep.
Implemented all core, fixed orchestrator, game, defined level geometry HUD, MVP spec, added a comprehensive README. Okay.
Oh, the README might tell us how to play this game, maybe.
Perfect. Okay. Ultra minimal 3JS JavaScript prototype implementing core. Responsive player with coyote time jumping forgiveness, sleep pulse ability. How do I play it? Oh, here we go. Okay. Sleep, shift or X. Whoa. Oh, that's cool. So, okay. So let me see. Refresh that. Oh, and then there's a little, oh, wow. See that little, do you see that little, like, little music thing up there? That's my sleep.
No. Wait, where?
This little sleep thing up here. See this?
Yeah.
If I do that, it's like sleep.
Oh.
Like me putting player enemies, so like I can jump on players. And then this little purple thing is an actual enemy that I can like jump on. It's like a platform.
I see. Okay.
And these are my lives up here. Okay, so that's fascinating. Okay, let's see here. And then build. Okay, first. Okay, say okay. This looks. Okay, this is.
Speaking of prompt tweaks, okay. Like I don't like how the headings are lowercase. That's really bothering me, even as a lowercase typer. Like not in the game, like in chat, like it says quality gates lowercase, right? So we might need to prompt that behavior out of it.
Can't right now. Also, update the README about the player and enemy information. Okay, let's see what it does. I mean, surprisingly, we do have something that it's not a snake game, but this is actually like I'm jumping. There's an enemy that is being hit. I don't know what this means. Oh, X.
Is that the level?
That might be. Well, I don't know. It's like music.
You said there's 5 levels, if I remember correctly from the initial plan.
I think I told it to only do 1. Restart. After finishing, click restart. Okay. Jump, move, open it. It's formulating jump and platform. So like it put platforms that are in there. Next, audit. There's a HUD. I like that.
It's also interesting that it, I don't like, there's something weird that happened with the to-do tool here that I'm noticing. Like you can see it said to-do 0 for 3, but then it says added 1 to-do below. And then it said starting task to-do 1.
Yeah.
So rather than tune jump capability. So yeah, some of the interesting thing about the to-dos tool is it really increases the success across all models, right? Because we mentioned steering earlier. But like the to-do is basically a plan for your turn, right? So it's basically an in-plan turn, and that really helps the model to stay on track. And every single model works with the to-do tool slightly differently. Oh, that's way better.
Oh, see, like I turned that. Whoa. Okay, I turned that. Oh, wow. Okay, so I made that enemy sleep.
How did you make it sleep? What did you do?
So I hit the X, which is my sleep power.
Okay.
So like,
when you lost a life, that was your lives up top. Yeah.
Oh, this is, what is
I like the
yellow?
little like animation you got when you dropped a lot.
Yeah,
That
that's
was
cool. Whoa. Okay, this, wow.
Oh, one life.
One
All
life.
right,
Oh my God.
it's coming together.
Okay, and then I don't know what the 3 out of 5 is.
4
Or
out of 5.
maybe that's the progress through the stage. Oh, I did it.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's notes.
Oh, so they're notes. Okay.
Oh, you're collecting these notes or collectibles.
Wait, so the
Oh,
yellows are the notes?
those are the notes because I'm like collecting them. I see. So the goal is to make it through. I see. The goal is to make it through. This is actually pretty good. I mean, now that we got jumping working, I am fairly impressed. Oh my God, I am fairly impressed. I
And
know it
we did
looks,
this. I mean, I guess technically it was 3 turns because you told it to run it, but really it was 2 turns, right? 2
yeah,
turns with the model. We ended up here. That's pretty impressive from nothing.
impressive. Yeah. Okay. This is, wow. Yep. Okay, I can skip because it's already built. Wow. Okay. Okay. Wow.
All right, what
This
are we going to do now?
this is so cool. I'm going to tell that it's so cool.
You're so encouraging. I wish I was a better person, James. I get very angry.
We make the notes more, visual and reflect that. What else should we do? Like, should we implement the next levels? Yeah, let's implement.
Yeah, let's do
Let's
it.
implement the next few
I
levels and a boss mode. Oh, also, let's add in the ability or add in items for getting back extra, I guess, life/health. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Wow. Oh, wow.
And something else I like to add these models is like, what should I do next? Like, I have this plan of all the things that I have there. Sometimes it's better to stage things in different, like, to build, like, to layer functionality in your game, right? Like, you don't want to just like do random crap. So sometimes I'll even be like, well, based off like our whole plan, what do you actually think we should do next? Which is also an interesting prompt for the model.
Wow. So this is the gate. So here's what's fascinating too. I don't know. I'm not reading chat anymore because I'm like in love with what's happening here. So by the way, like my background is game development. It's like that was what I did out of college. It was like I built games for the Xbox 360 at a company called Crunch Time Games, and we did like a top-down space shooter and stuff. And like how you actually prototype games and levels and things like that is this way with boxes. Like, why would you invest spending tons of time, effort, and energy in creating all the artwork if like the gameplay isn't fun? So like this is like ideally like actually like very similar. So I think the geometry could be improved as far as like the hit ratio, but like, yeah, I'm like, okay, like are the core mechanics of sleep actually fun to play? Because this is cool. Like ideally like the floor could be like, there could be areas that are like lava, you know what I mean? They're like, oh wow, or like just different placement. It's just obviously came up with stuff, but pretty, whoa. Oh, and I can go through pink stuff. Interesting. Okay. But I think you could add more.
This thing published, James.
Dude, I'm totally going to publish this out into the internet. This is great. Okay. So let's see. It's doing stuff. So it's refactoring. It's doing some types.
So what did it say in the first thinking blurb up there? Let's see. Okay, so it's thinking about what it needs. Okay, this is cool. So it's saying, this is what the user asked for. What do I actually need to do? I need to update data types, restructure level data, enhance the game logic, improve visuals. And then, yeah, so then it actually starts doing that. That's pretty neat.
That's cool.
I kind of want, what I would want, James, based off this, now that I'm seeing this more, like with you, and it's not just me, I kind of want it to auto expand the thinking when it has a certain amount of text, but when it's like this one-liners that we're getting right here, I don't want it to expand. That's kind of the behavior I think I want.
Yeah, that's a good thing.
Like if the amount of text characters is less than XX, then don't expand. But if it's more than that, then expand because I actually want to see it.
Wow, I'm so excited.
You don't know how many debates we had about this UX, like endless stand-up debates. Like our stand-ups, like so Justin unmutes, supposed to talk for 5 minutes. These things are like 30 minutes. Like I don't like that. Someone has the exact opposite opinion, and we just argue about it. So
yeah, I I love the idea of that. Like, yeah, if this is the same thing, then like when there shouldn't be a way to like do this, but like I would love to have this auto expanded, like, because it is auto expanded, but then it collapses automatically. Maybe
Yeah,
that's an option. Maybe that is a
there is like 8 options, so it's possible that I have this wrong.
collapse per item, expanded, collapse collapse preview. Thinking parts will expand first, then collapse once each part is not thinking. Fixed scrolling. Show thinking in a fixed height streaming panel that auto scrolls. Click the header to expand it. Each thinking subsection is individually collapsed and collapsed by default. None. I don't want that. Expanded. There needs to be one more.
Yeah,
Which is
we love our settings. We get that enough.
I want fixed scrolling, keep open. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know. I agree.
So this could be fixed scrolling collapsed.
Yeah.
And then fixed items, fixed scrolling. So take that back to the team. I want one more option, please.
I've already sent several notes back to our chat with the team during the call.
Yeah, see, like when these are the same, yeah, we don't need that. But it's, I mean, yeah, if there's just the same, then we wouldn't collapse it. But this is a great UI. I did notice in stable too, there's like a whole bunch of like auto collapsing happening and stuff. I was doing the VS Code Dev Days. Shout out to VS Code Dev Days, folks. If you're not at a VS Code Dev Days, you got to be there. There's 35 left happening in the world. I'm going to post a link here. Bam. I did mine. There was one in LA last night. I think that like 100 some odd people, and there was some in India that had like 500 people. It was bananas. So there's a bunch happening all over the world left. We got Morocco, Bangladesh. There's one in Hong Kong. There's one in Sofia, Bulgaria. There's one in Bordeaux, France, Copenhagen, Oslo, Lima, Peru, a bunch in Brazil coming up. There's one in Redmond, Washington. I know where that place is at. Raleigh, North Carolina, New York City, Toronto, Tulsa, Boston. There's some online too.
I miss Boston.
Boston. That's where my family's from. Boston. And tons. Wow, so cool. I know it sounds silly, but I'm over the moon that I have moving squares on this thing. And like it basically one-shotted this thing.
It did, yeah, pretty much.
And I love that. So cool. Yeah, take it. I love it.
The other cool thing is like, how do you test a game? Like, serious question. Like, how do people write automated tests for games? Because like Codex does really well if you have like Playwright, and it can like, it would run your thing, and it would, like in the case of a regular website, say there was something not quite aligned correctly, it would catch that because it would write and run the tests.
Yeah.
How do you actually do that for a game? I honestly don't know. Like, how would you write a test for a game?
You have a test team.
Okay, it's all manual. There's no automation. Okay.
I mean, you could. I mean, definitely there's stuff to do that you can do.
Unit test stuff, but like the mechanics, I feel like stuff like, how would you test the jump thing? Like, I don't know.
I mean, Playwright should be able to keyboard entry stuff, but then it would have to know, like, you'd have to script it.
You have to know about the level and know when to do it, and that's kind of tricky. And maybe Debbie could figure it out. But
yeah, I will say, like, I know people are saying the game right now, it is running 60 FPS on my screen. I know it looks like it's not on yours, but it is butter smooth over here. That's just like the StreamYard that's coming across, but it is butter smooth over here. Actually, like, I'll have it at also on the top right.
So we really need prompt queuing. Like, that's kind of the obvious thing. I like how you're using the chat input box to collect your thoughts, but
yep. Queuing, all about that queuing. We got some, I think, I don't know, it was Corey or someone else was telling us, like, oh, we need some queuing in there. Some of our,
I agree.
Some folks, I agree. So now this is a straight cooking. It is rebuilding and doing type checking. This is actually how I work. I do like to gather my thoughts. Now, I don't necessarily, the thing is, yeah, for queuing, and this is a good question for the chat. Like, this is me basically queuing this, but I might have additional ideas where I'm like, do this. Okay, then I wanted to do this. But the problem is, like, well, what if I needed to like fix the thing that it just did? So the question is, do you automatically execute the queue, or do you like basically build up the queue of ideas and then let people like drag and drop them around, remove them from the queue, and then say like execute next item in the queue, do something else. You know what I mean? Like, how do you want to queue it up?
It's tricky because often you don't want to execute the next prompt in your queue until you're done with the previous thing, right? Because then you're just going to get into a state where you're building on broken work. So that's not what you want.
Exactly.
So I don't know. It is tricky. We've talked about it. There's other patterns that exist out there, but yeah, it'd be interesting to know what people on the stream think is best.
Yeah, I surprisingly have no meetings right now, so I can cook longer. But
let's cook longer. I got nothing right now.
You and I got to meet.
This is my favorite part of the week. I'm very serious about that. So Let's just keep moving.
I'm super jazzed. I mean, I did ask it. So it's here. It's created. I think it's created a. Oh, okay, interesting. So this is the enemy data. Ideally, I'd like for it to be randomized, so it could do it. But now it has dreamy cliffs. It's got. So I asked it to do a lot here, actually, in this. So if you're wondering why this took a lot, it's not just creating this level data. What it's actually having to do here is do a whole like level system. So now we said have one, and then just brought you back to the beginning of the level. Now we're asking it to actually do a bunch of other stuff. Oh, and it did pickup, so health pickup. Oh, and it added a pickup type. That's smart. So there's only one. Well, that's pretty good. And then here's the enemy. There's an enemy kind, X, Y. Is it patrolling? Is it bobbing? What's its health? Is note spawning, things like this. So it's actually like implementing now game logic and a bunch of other things on top of it. So that's pretty neat in general. And yeah, I'm definitely let's publish this to, I'm gonna call this Puff Quest, Pink Puff Quest. That's going to be public on the GitHub. What should be included? Oh, I guess I need a
git ignore.
I do need a git ignore, but I'm going to have it create the git ignore for me. And I can do that in a, let's do this. I'm going to do that.
Yeah, that's a great one for a separate local chat. And a great task for a mini. That's right.
Git ignore for this project, please. Boop. So this, so here I feel very comfortable, right? Coming and having another chat go on while this chat is going on.
Yep.
And I'm comfortable with it because I know that this chat is not going to interact with what this thing is doing in real time, right? So if you're asking and you're doing stuff here, then it's going to be doing this. And it can now parse through the code and it can do a lot of stuff. Yep. And then get this thing working for me, which I think is really nice. So, okay, perfect. So if the git ignore,
the over rendering behavior just happened again right there, but I haven't seen it in chat in a minute. Like
it wasn't doing it here. It hasn't been, but now it's doing it here, which is great.
It only when it's in the editor?
No, it was doing it here too before.
I thought it was, yeah. All right.
It must be something. So then I can close this.
Yeah, there's some weird rendering thing going on.
And then I'm gonna, I guess, just publish to GitHub. I'm gonna call it Pink Puff Quest, public repository. Perfect. Now, the other thing that I would feel very comfortable doing is going over and see. So I didn't have the git ignore, so it asked me what files I wanted. But if you have the git ignore, then it knows that that's what you want. So the other thing that I feel very comfortable doing right now too is going into this new chat editor. Oh, I can't do it here. Can I? Oh, what I really want to do is I want to create a Copilot instruction, but I can't from here. It's actually only in this chat window. Okay. So here's what we're going to do. Okay. So I'm going to go and I'm going to come here. I'm going to say custom instructions, Visual Studio Code. Cool. All right. What's this? vscode. Okay. Let's create a custom Copilot pilot instructions.md for this project in the .github folder, and fetch for information about best practices here. Now I could delegate this to the coding agent. Now I get this delegate to the coding agent because my code's on GitHub, by the way. So that's why I see this button now here too.
Oh, I was wondering why you didn't see it before. I was like, I know you have the setting.
Yep. And now this shows up here because now my code's on GitHub, so it knows. So yeah, I'm seeing this weird overlay thing. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on there. This is very strange. We'll get it fixed.
Get it fixed. Let's see. Out of context, is there an MCP to save memory on GitHub Copilot? I don't think. I mean, there are MCP servers out there for memories, but which would work with any model. But I'm not 100% sure. I haven't really played around with models and things or memories all that much, to be honest with you. But I think SpecKit is almost kind of like that.
The challenge with memories, we've been thinking about memories as a problem a lot. There's a lot of kind of interesting things, right? What do you record as a memory? That can, if you actually just try to hack this yourself, you'll notice that there's a lot of things captured as memories that like shouldn't be. So then you need the ability to edit memories. You don't want it to be overzealous. Then the other problem is the real hard problem is memory recall. So how do you actually get the model to call your memory and for it to not just be a mess, right? Like you don't want on every single turn it to go to the memory file, do a search, pull something in. Now you're stuffing your context with a bunch of things that may not be relevant. Then it has to go back to the memory right when it updates. It's just like the recall aspect is like a very tricky problem because you can add a lot of slowness to the turn, right? If you don't do it right. And if you have bad memories and it's recalling those bad memories, then it's really, really bad. So calibrating that is very tricky in practice. Like the basic concepts are simple, but actually like executing upon it as a thing is very tricky.
Yeah, that makes sense. I'm just going to keep this. It doesn't actually need to test stuff. I'm pretty sure it's fine.
Well, and there's like user specific memories. There's like project memories. There's like turn memories. Like there's different like layers at which I would want the memories to exist as well. And the model needs to be able to figure out, is this a repo specific memory that Pierce like prefers this type of library or over this other one? Or is that like how he feels about everything? So it gets very tricky like quickly. So regardless, it's quite clear that whenever we do memory, you need a way to be able to edit your memories like in ChatGPT, because if you don't, then yeah, you're going to have a lot of memories that you shouldn't have.
Yeah. All right, so it's doing a bunch of advancing level methods. It's doing checkpoints, so you can like checkpoint if you die on a level, things like that. Then it's going to be implementing new levels here. Good question for it. So we were talking about how do you test games. Chaos says realistically for testing, you can use unit testing for components, but obviously testing is a pain. You know, it's easier with manual testing. You could do some snapshot game state testing. Yep, so you can at least like recover and things like that. Yeah, you know, when I worked at the thing there, I didn't call it Jigglypuff. I called it Pink Puff Quest. Did I? Right?
I don't know what you called it.
Let me look on GitHub.
I already forgot.
Oh, hold on. No, I that's the name of the folder, but I think that
the repo is named Pink something.
Pink Puff Quest. Yes, correct. So, and there's a bunch of stuff in there. So yeah, here's the repo. There you go. In real time, Pink Puff Quest. It just happens to be in a folder on my machine called Jigglypuff Quest. So, and Jigglypuffs happen to be here. So there's that. Big Nintendo fan here. So lots of Nintendo Switches. I'm looking at 4 Nintendo Switches right now on my desk. Vector database is best for memory context. Oh yeah, interesting. A vector databases team is saying, yeah, that would be interesting. Would love to have free models in the Copilot CLI. Yeah, give the team feedback. There's a repo for it, so give the team. Yeah, I think with the CLI, the thing is, it's kind of like it's a more fire and forget. I don't know. I'm interested. I need to talk to Hanselman about how he uses it, but I feel like the CLI is like, did I want to do big amount of work, or is it small amount of work, or is it any type of work? Is it the same type of work that I'd want to do here? Is it just different thinking? I just am inherently not a CLI person. I want to see the files. I want to see the things. That's my problem.
I personally kind of like the UX of a lot of the CLIs that are out now, because they up level, like in chat in VS Code, we kind of stream in everything, right? Which is good and bad. It's just kind of a lot to take in. But if you want to know what's going on, to your point, you can see it. Whereas the CLIs, I don't know that this is inherently like a CLI specific thing. It could be replicated in VS Code as well. But they've kind of taken this route of like, we're going to keep, like, we're doing this task and we're going to hide some of the details of what's actually doing that task, right? Until we move on to the next one. And that is kind of a nice UX for people who don't want to monitor every single little tool call, right?
Yeah.
But again, we could do that inside VS Code. But I do actually really like that about all the CLIs that are on the market right now. Like, I personally actually don't like to super monitor the tool calls. But then again, I think everyone's different, right? Like, I am an engineer, but my full-time job is not to be an engineer, right? And I think if I was shipping code into production that I had to worry about, maybe I would care more, right? But a lot of what I do is more kind of personal experiments, things for me. So the bar is different, right? Than if I was just building something. If I was building like something for Microsoft, like, and I'm the one who's going to be on call if it breaks, that's a different level of needing to understand the code, right?
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. A good question here from Danielle. GPT-4.1, what's the best way for it to follow prompt instructions? Well, we did an entire episode on beast mode. If you head over to Awesome Copilot, here. And we're talking about chat modes as well. For my VS Code Dev Days, we talked a lot about chat modes. They're really good to think about. But inside of here, the one thing that is a chat mode, there's instructions and prompts in here. But chat modes basically allow you to kind of give the behavior of how you want the tool or the mode to work and whether it has access to tools or not. So beast mode is a sort of thing from Burke on the team, and he specifically kind of read the docs for GPT-4.1 and put together this custom chat mode that you can do. So it does a lot of fetching, it understands a problem, it creates task lists for you, it does a bunch of stuff inside there as well, develops plans and does stuff in there. And there's a bunch in here. So when you're talking about like API architecture and planning and blueprinting and debugging, like there's all these chat modes that you can put things in as well, which is cool. And then I don't know, did we still ship that GPT alternate GPT prompt? Oh, I have that enabled.
Yeah. So we do have, I mentioned we do a lot of prompt tuning. So we actually have kind of live experiments right now, A/B tests running with different prompt variations to see kind of what works. But you can see we have a Codex alternative prompt. Go back up, loop. I want to show
This one.
Yeah. So I'll explain the difference between these two. Default is mostly-ish our VS Code prompts we already had in there with some tweaks to make the model work really well. Codex is literally using the Codex prompt inside of Copilot. And so we kind of did this similar experiment for GPT-5. Results still TBD, but like we're starting to play a lot more with different prompts and see kind of what works. And every prompt has like different trade-offs. Like you can make the agent behave better, but it might take longer per turn. And like there's kind of all these things. You might force usage of a certain tool more than another. That could be good or bad, right? For example, Codex, like I'm seeing in practice, it almost never uses my semantic search tool. It tends to prefer grep search, right, over everything else. That could be good or that could be bad, right? Like if grep search is working really well, it's quite fast and it's local and that can work very well. But if I'm working on something very complex and I need the semantic understanding, searching across a large code base, then not having the semantic index is bad. And so then there's kind of separate from the actual behavior of the model, you have to think about we think about this thing called agent trajectories. And what does the actual tool breakdown look like? Like, okay, maybe it starts with a search. Okay, well, what search tool? Okay, then it uses an edit tool. What edit tool? And then you start to really look at these trajectories in detail because you can start to see things like, oh, certain models seem to really struggle with these sorts of edits. Okay, we need to go and actually figure out how we're going to fix that. And so there's kind of a lot of interesting things when you look below the surface to how all these prompts and tool calling works. That you really have to do. You do have to do tuning per model. It's not just like one prompt will work for everything.
There's a lot of these alternative prompts, and some of these are just entry boxes. Like, where would someone go to figure out like what the alternative prompts are? Like, I like that this has a drop down. That's cool. Like, where would someone go if they wanted to kind of like tweak
our source?
Our source. Good. Okay, perfect.
In many cases when we don't add a drop down like this, the reason is that it's an experiment controlled thing where we override the string. So like in the case of this one right here for Grok, like we tested an alternative prompt as well. And it kind of, from a science perspective, like if people are manually setting it, it can mess with the results, right?
Gotcha,
so
that makes sense.
In practice, many people don't change settings at all. So it really doesn't make a big difference, but that's one of the considerations we think about.
Correct. If it's not on by default, it doesn't exist.
That's right. And we're trying to do better there. I think we have done much better over the last couple of years.
I felt like I opened up, especially stable, but even on insiders. I mean, insiders, almost everything should be on by default. But like even in insiders, in stable, the most recent release, I was like really like blown away by like, okay, wow, I just opened it and like there's things that are new and improved. I'm really liking it, and it's just happening by default. It didn't feel like the entire thing changed overnight. You know what I mean? It really felt like, wow, like nice subtle quality of life improvements. Yeah. How do you get the chat sessions? Manuel says, great question. So if you go into your settings, this one is off by default. I don't know why. Just type in chat sessions. And then you can go down here. There's the chat sessions for cloud button. And then there's the agent sessions. I guess agent sessions would be better, but it's called chat sessions. So confusing. Chat agent sessions. You can change this to view. So I think it's by default is disabled. And I have to imagine that Bridget and team really want to change that. I don't know why it's not there. It should be there.
We're changing this. Yeah, it should be on very shortly. Actually the really tricky thing I think is we are starting to flight via experiment, so it will show the default is disabled, but in insiders it actually should be enabled by default. The tricky thing is you have to get the pull request extension for it to show up.
Oh, that's the pull request. So get the GitHub pull request extension. I see.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't have that extension, and so then that's actually the problem, which is a different thing. It's like a new variation of our settings thing of, oh, you not only need to know the setting, but you have to go get this extension.
That makes sense. You know, the other thing I want, and I don't know if this is realistic, I want to be able to check in my chat history for myself into source control.
Oh, I like that. That's a cool idea.
Only because like I often, even what is nice is like I often switch between VS and, you know, insiders and non-stables and also multiple machines. And then the history is like per instance of VS. So it's actually different on stable and non-stable. So I actually want it to be like in my, you know, history, like locally in my machine, like in a folder. But like,
yeah, we get a lot of requests for exporting these chats in general.
Which you can do. You can actually just like right click and you can hit copy all, by the way.
Yeah, but it doesn't work exactly like people expect it to work.
That's true.
So yeah. I think we have work, and there's like different purposes you might want these chats, right? So there's like different things to consider here.
Yeah.
But I agree, that would be nice.
Yeah. That's how you get that pull request, the pull request extension, GitHub pull request extension. I forgot that you needed that installed. I just always have it installed by default. But that would be when you go, then you get, of course, like the GitHub integration here. So there's all the pull requests that are coming in and my issues in general. Yeah, I wish they were just like, you know, just give me the extension.
I kind of, yeah, I think, you know, the interesting thing is like, I'm interested in your opinion in this, James. Like, okay, so if you go back to that view, the pull request view we just saw, you see pull requests and issues. Do you think that should show just in the source control view? Like if you went to the source control view, like should that be built in and just in the source control view, or should that be, and if you have a GitHub remote, it shows up, and if you don't, it doesn't, right?
I think so. I think that'd be way better in my personal opinion, just to show all this stuff there for me that I can collapse and go. Because I'm when I go into Git, I'm already thinking about my commits, my changes, my PRs, my repositories. Now, the thing is, obviously not everyone has their code on GitHub, right? You might have it internally on your hair, or use other services. So, so interestingly enough, right? If you go to the GitHub chat extension, so if you look at it's an extension pack. So it's GitHub Copilot, and you tap on that, you look at the extension pack, and then it has these. So inherently, like these do not have the like what the team could do is put in the GitHub pull request as a dependency. The problem with that is then it is very prescriptive to saying, hey, we assume that all of your code is on GitHub, which I think it should be, but that's me. But it's not that way, right? So I kind of like almost like, can I get a GitHub, you know, super pack that gives me everything GitHub related and that shows up? But yeah, to me, this is my source code, right? Like in general, like,
no, I agree.
To me, and like maybe there's extensions point that if you did have it on like GitLab, or you did have stuff on like, you know, Bitbucket or whatever, that it all just shows up in one API, because everyone has to install these other extensions. But if it could loop in, maybe I could still have this and it has specific GitHub-y things. And same thing with Atlassian or with other stuff. But then maybe there is a unified way to say, oh, but just plug in and show me all the stuff here. Because I almost never show the graph. So this is like, I would say most of the time, this is what mine looks like, is just the changes, right? And that's it. So I think it'd be really cool to see like issues and things and assigning it and seeing stuff working. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. I think the other thing is, if you're really like into the GitHub ecosystem, to your point, and you're using actions and pull requests and all that, the thing that I find super annoying, because I do have to sign, I have a lot of test accounts and different things I have to try, right? So I'm constantly signing in and out, and I use multiple machines. It's very annoying to me. I have to auth separately for actions, for pull requests. I mean, it's like 4 or 5 different auth prompts, right? And the challenge is that each of these request different scopes. So the token you get back from GitHub is different, right? Yeah. So obviously you don't want to have a super token that you're minting for all these things. But like, that's another wish list for me, is like, it's all GitHub. Like, I don't understand why I have to do this. Like, we need to figure out how to make it work from like an auth and security perspective. But like, I find it as a user personally very frustrating.
Okay, it updated a README, so it's pretty good. A few questions here. How do you clear the chat history? Just hit new chat up here. Just hit new chat, and then that will clear it out, because you want to save the history so you can go back on it. I like this idea for the Git stuff, which is a per profile history. Well, there's chart history, but like I would say like save the history per profile, right? So like obviously, you know, if you and I are working on it, you don't want to see my chats and I want to see your chat. So there's some thinking there to do if you did commit that stuff into code somehow. Maybe you don't want, maybe don't, it's hard. Maybe you don't want to have people see your chat history. Fascinating. Yeah. Maybe it, I don't know. That's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a tricky problem.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So what are we doing now? I'm jumping back in. I've been
Star
kind of
notes.
distracted.
It's finishing. It's updating README docs. Oh, this is actually of interest, by the way, of what's happening here is that the prompt now it's like finishing stuff and then it's gone back and now it's updating the documentation because again we're in that big thing, so it's like, hey, checkpoints per level. They renamed it from level 1 to levels, so platforms, spawns, pickups. That's smart. Did it actually rename it though? I don't know if it did, but maybe it's going to do that next.
This
But
is
now
cool though, because like the problem sometimes you'll have with the planning workflow with other models is you have to really be forceful about like sometimes the model will diverge from the plan, and not a bad way, right? Like it's like, oh, I need to do this thing, and then it never updates the plan, and now your plan is out of sync with the actual implementation. So what is the source of truth, right? It's obviously the code, but now your plan's out of date, which you're going to pass to the model. So it's to your point, it's really cool that it's actually going back and updating this.
I was talking to Toby last night, or for the podcast, for the VS Code Insiders podcast. Everyone should go to vscodepodcast.com, subscribe on your favorite podcast application today and YouTube. Toby was talking about how he was thinking about creating like a cron job or a loop or something that basically says go and like double check, make sure all the documentation, the README, all the things are up to date, like based on yesterday's code, like based on the last, you know, days of code changes or whatever. So like it would like reevaluate itself basically. So
yeah, this is where like I kind of wish you can do this with instructions, but I kind of wish we had like a concept of hooks, right? Because then you could have a hook, like end of turn hook, like if and then you should be able to say like if the edit tool was used. So if we edited the code base, if there's anything we need to update in these places, please do so. Basically, like that would be a super cool concept.
So it's going through, it's finalizing some game mechanics. I'm trying to loose up ends, ensuring notes, health, enemies, checkpoints behave as they live. The README, there's lots of detail here to polish before testing.
But this is the crazy thing because we've done what, like 4 prompts in this hour and a half?
Yeah, not very many.
Insane, right? Like it's just it's not bad. Like we saw what it spit out. It was great. It's just so different, right, than other things we have inside of the model picker. And so I do think we're going to have to think more about the UX of how you interact with this model. Like, you really do need kind of this concept of backgrounded local, right? For this model in particular, because chat was really designed to be a little bit more interactive. And because this thing is so powerful and can just keep going, right? You know, you really do have to kind of rein it in chat, or it'll just keep going forever.
Yeah, I agree. And it'll be interesting this year at GitHub Universe. If you're there, we're going to have a huge VS Code booth, and we're going to be doing our vibe coding booth again. And, you know, what's fascinating about that is we'll kind of have this, you know, hour and a half for each person type of, you know, mentality. Let me make sure that this is, kill that terminal. Okay, let me make sure it's stopped. Is like, as these models have progressed, even since build, like, how does that vibe go? You know what I mean? Like, how fast is the vibe? How much is the planning? How much is the thing? I'll be really fascinated to see how different people work and like what we end up building at the end of the day. I think it's gonna be really interesting. So, all right, we're gonna see what it does. I'm not gonna do this final prompt because it'll be like a big one. I'm gonna do it after this. I'll commit this code so everyone can see, but I'm gonna see if it what it has, if it actually like did what we wanted to do. And I'm curious, like there is a levels and levels. Oh, okay. So levels is empty. I see. Oh, legacy single level. I hate when it does that. It just likes to like no, it's over here now. So that's kind of funny. That's some legacy debt, but I get it. Okay, it's gonna run and build it. Okay. These are two big, two really big, long prompts. And I'd be super interested in how many tokens I just burned on this thing.
Well, that's the nice thing about your Copilot subscription, right? Like one of those turns was one premium request.
It truly was. Oh no, it's got some errors. Okay. What did it? Oh, it's looking a get status. Oh, intro. Why is it doing a get status? Auto approval, get status. Oh, it's like it's trying to figure out what I did. It's like, hey, you changed some code that I didn't know. I thought I was safe. I thought it was safe. But it did build it. Did it actually? Oh, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if it is still. No, it's not up and running still. Okay.
So one of the issues we experienced in this stream, the team is already working on fixing. This is why I love this team.
Oh, nice.
You know how when you started a new chat, you still saw like old to-dos from the previous session?
Yes.
For one time? We'll get that fixed. That's already being looked at right now.
I love it. Oh, okay. Oh, wow. So what is it doing?
What's happening?
I don't know.
Do you need to is it like basically done doing what it's going to do though? Or is it like still trying to implement things?
I think it's check untracked files. Okay. Investigating tracking issue. Oh, interesting. It's like the levels. It's like the levels. It's like the file isn't. Okay. I think it's done implementing. Okay. I'm just going to stop it. I think I wonder if I think because I committed the code halfway through while I was doing stuff. I think that's what happened. Okay. Because it's like, hey, I changed these files, but like the Git history is saying that I didn't change these files. Because I committed the code halfway through, which is like bad on me. You know what I mean? Okay. So let me do, is it npm run build? That's on me. You should wait to commit the code until at least a turn is finished.
Yep.
How do I run it? npm run dev. Yeah, you can tell I'm a web developer. Like what do I do? Okay. All right. Okay. Well, interesting. Okay, I don't know why it started me over there, but I got stars that are moving, so I can collect them. Ooh, they like scale. Okay. Okay, I got some hearts to get back some health. I like that. Okay, this must be like the starting point then. Oh, interesting. So it's changed the logic. So this big pink door is the starting location. Like if I refresh this, it was starting me at the beginning of the level. Now this is the start point of the level that I'm now exploring the level left and right to go find these things. Okay, and there's a cooldown. It implemented a cooldown for my sleep. So that's that thing. So I can't like do it again until
can't like just constantly spam sleep.
Now see, I messed it up. Oh, it even like blinks when it's coming back. What? That's cool. Come in.
Oh,
that's nice. Okay. So then if I was doing it now, I do need it to make this star like clickable and things. So I'm like, it's like through it, but boom. Oh, I don't know if it got the end of level correct.
Yeah.
Oh man.
I love that. That's pretty cool.
It looks like the end of level doesn't work, but I'm going to have it fix it up. Okay. So now I'm going to save this and then I'm going to say, all right, it looks like the end of level part isn't working. Also make sure the star notes are never caught in other objects in the level. Okay. I could just like cook all day basically on this. You know what I mean? I'm hoping, because then we have a bunch of levels and I just need like the end level basically, but I love where this is going. The code is out there on my repo. I think it's a good enough cooking. I think it's a good endpoint. What do you think, Piers?
I'm really enjoying it. Like it's I'm serious. Like this is what I'm using a lot of the time now inside of vscode. It's a quite capable model. So
yeah,
here's the folks at OpenAI.
Yeah, here's another thing I like to do. I like to do like an ideas folder, and then I'll do like new file, and I'll do like I'll do next.txt, and then I can just like paste in like what I want next. So if you're like queuing up stuff, you could just queue things in a text file. You know what I mean? So yeah. So that's kind of cool. All right, we're gonna cook. We're gonna move this off. Thanks everyone for hanging out. That was fun.
That was super fun.
I like that. Guess is that Jigglypuff sleep or is it thread.sleep? Probably thread.sleep. Yeah, Inker. I like that. And like, here's the thing. Now that y'all have the repo, go open up some issues for me. I love these ideas coming in from team, like increase difficulty, do this, like go open some issues, and then we're
Coding agent.
Put some details in there. I'm going to cook them all off with the coding agent, and I'm just going to I'm going to let it cook in the background. And like maybe, next week we're going to have Bridget and team on talking about coding agents. So maybe we'll do an update on this specific one.
I love that idea. That'll be super fun.
I'm going to cook on some of the next ideas here today. Pearson and I are going to have a meeting about some exciting news for next week, because next week is next week, and that's always exciting news every single day and every single week. So thanks everyone for hanging out. We had hundreds of people here on the VS Code channel. We do this basically every single Friday at 8 a.m. Pacific, because we like to wake up really early and do this. And thanks for cooking with us. Thanks, Pearson.
Yeah, that's fun.
All right. Talk to you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.